what's really great is it allows kind of collaboration and participation. We're standing here next to some bikes and bike racks. If you actually hover your mouse over the bike, you can actually pick it up and move it around. You can plan shared spaces together, or you could have your own virtual apartment and bring in your own furniture and do your own designing of that apartment. If we have a street like this that is, is smaller vehicles and pedestrians, do we even need the typical lane separation that we have depicted here? Come to the left side here by these bike racks. If you think that there should be separate striped lanes and there should still be space that's delineated for the smaller vehicles versus pedestrians, and come over to this side of the street if you think that all of the space should just be intermingled and it should be a free-for-all of bikes and pedestrians and smaller vehicles all together. Okay, Alan, you're in the middle of the road.
I was say, yeah, I'm intentionally in the middle of the road because I think like with a big space and planning out a city, right? There's a lot of factors. It's probably sometimes I like to be on a pathway where I can go as fast as I can to go to point A to point B. There's sometimes where I just like to go kind of meander and explore the city itself.
How about having two types of lane, fast lane and slow lane, the way we do it with cars on the highway? I feel like in real cities, that's out of the question because we can barely find space for one bike lane, let alone like multiple bike lanes at different speeds. But here we have the luxury to do that, right? Like all of this is car free.
I guess the one thing I would say is, like society wise, right? We start to delineate space for certain use cases. There starts to also then create like different anger levels, right? Like I have the right to this space because it's mine, it's delineated for myself. Why can't we create also where it's actually like for everyone, right? And there's like rules to the road or rules to the space versus a rule to like this only space for bikes. Right?
You see the walls. However, in our VR build, which allows us to have a much bigger, fuller experience of the city, and what you see in this drawing, there are actually very few enclosures on the ground space, on the ground floor. Everything is quite open, and it's like one big park-like experience.
This is one thing about a virtual city. We have some form of transit that we don't have in real city, such as portals. Somebody made a very tiny bicycle here.
And so it is meant to be park-like. And then with this pathway that we're standing on, you're able to connect between the buildings. And so for me, this was always thought of as a fully pedestrianized space for young people and the elderly where there's really no vehicle traffic at all. And you can explore the city through this elevated parkway. So this middle option is allowed, but head prioritized. Okay. So I'm moving closer to you guys, but I'm still not fully decided. But I'm getting closer.
In action.
I'm getting closer.
Every block is a community. It has about 500 people, but it's also part of a bigger neighborhood. And it strategizes about the use of resources and also the use of produce that is grown on every rooftop. Every rooftop should be able to specialize in growing a certain type of plant, and then they should be able to share.
You can visit the different apartments we have, and we can kind of like clone it for you, and you can have your own apartment. And then using the spatial tools, you can actually pick out furniture off of Sketchfab, designs, colors, and upload it and have your own little world.
I need to warn everybody that we had some students in here this morning, and the students may have made a little bit of a mess.
They made a very large chair.
They made a very large chair.
Barbara sideways
are giants.
We designed the first version of this buildable city that we're releasing all the geometry to everyone for free. We've got, world builders here, virtual world builders, placemakers, architects, urban planners, 3D modelers, and game developers. And we want to build an open source city for the future.